Hi, this is Mrs.Bright. I am here to share with you a book that I recently wrote entitled When All Else Fails, Reasons Why I Stay in the Classroom and How You Can Find Your Why. These messages, these stories come from my heart and are definitely the reasons why I continue to choose to be a classroom teacher. The foreword to my book is written by Mary Fulp, who is an author, an educator, and Alaska's 2022 Principal of the Year. So I highly encourage you to read it. But I'm going to start with my introduction. And are you ready? Yes, and if you notice, I have a Texan accent. I am from Texas. So it's legit. But here we go. The introduction to my book, When All Else Fails. When I was a kid, I wanted a Cabbage Patch doll more than anything. My family could not afford to give me such luxuries back then, but I had one of those moms. You know, the type of mom that would do anything in her power to make sure her kids would have the best Christmas, the best birthday, and to make sure they felt special. There was 7 of us, so she was busy. She was no seamstress, but she did her best to make me my very own Cabbage Patch doll. His hair was made of brown yarn, and he had a heart stitched into his chest, and while he was not quite the doll I had dreamed of, he was exactly the doll that would mean so much to me as a little girl and as an adult. I have been teaching for over a decade. Have I figured out how to be the perfect teacher? No. And the beauty of it is, I don't think I ever will. Teaching is a profession that changes based on society, where you live, the kids who come into your classroom each year, and the natural calamities we have now learned to brace. I want the challenge, I need the change, and I love being a teacher. I know not everyone agrees with me. Record numbers of teachers are leaving the profession. I cannot turn on social media or the news without hearing about why teachers are deciding to leave the classroom. The 10 reasons I left teaching. Local teachers say why they left the profession. Why I left and why you should too. I know that not everyone's answer is to remain in the classroom, and I understand. But I wanted to make a counter argument for so many of us who decide we can't leave. So why tell you about my Cabbage Patch doll? That's because the answers in this book won't be pretty or perfect. It won't have the authentic signature etched on the butt cheek, and it won't have the diet pill that will make you lose all the weight. It will have the experiences and lessons I have learned when all else fails that remind me each and every day why I choose to stay in the classroom. Chapter 1. It Chose Me. Grabbing the sunglasses from my mom's purse, I headed upstairs to my room where my younger brother and sisters were waiting. I had turned over my small doll bed on its side to serve as my podium. I had a coffee cup filled with water placed on my makeshift desk/bed. Of course, I wore high heels, an essential for any teacher, or so I thought. As I entered the room, I loudly announced, "Welcome to my classroom." Walking my daughter into her kindergarten classroom flooded my memories and fanned my desire to be a teacher once again. I wanted her to have the best teacher, one that loved my Cammie as much as I did. I wanted her to have a teacher who would instill in her a desire to learn. I wanted her teacher to be fun, happy, energetic, sympathetic, loving, caring, optimistic. The list could go on for a very long time. As I looked around the halls of the elementary school, I saw other parents who were just like me and wanted the best for their children. I looked at all the young children filling the halls with their new clothes, supplies, and backpacks. I wanted to be their teacher. I know it sounds corny, but if I was ever stressed with my college classes, all I had to do was walk the halls of my daughter's elementary school, and my goal to be a teacher was once again clear and concise. I wanted and want to be that teacher. John Locke described it best when he said, "We are all born with a mind like a white paper, a blank slate." As parents and teachers, we add a great deal to this white piece of paper. How we add to this paper defines us as teachers. Who will we be to those little ones? What legacy, what memory will we want them to have of us? How can we enhance their desire to learn each day? What information can we add that will stay with them for a lifetime? Adding to that white paper is something I take very seriously. When I think back to my kindergarten teacher, I remember the two things. I remember 2 things. Only 2 things. She had high heel sandals that were see-through. I guess they were made like of a plastic material. I sat by her feet when the class was gathered around her, and I vividly remember her shoes. My second memory was getting in trouble and having to put my nose in the corner, which I never told my mom happened, well, until now. I know if no one else reads my book, I know my mom will. And I am not really sure what I did to deserve that punishment. I promise, Mommy, I really do not remember. This past school year, I've finally gotten the opportunity to teach kindergarten, and these 2 memories have weighed heavily on me. What will my kindergartners remember about me? Will it be the time my frustration level exploded and I made them put their head down on their desk? Or will they remember when we made elephant toothpaste? It is so scary to think of what your legacy will be and what events they will carry with them through their memories. What will I add to their blank slates? I've been in the classroom for over a decade now. I have had over 1,000 students enter my classroom during that time. I've gotten to experience most of the elementary and middle school grade levels. I've enjoyed teaching in Texas, New Mexico, and Alaska, which means I've been to the best professional developments. I once was served dinner while sitting next to the Apollo capsule in the Johnson Space Center. I've spent overnight field trips to Denali National Park and to the Kenai Peninsula in Alaska. I have sat with students inside the cave dwellings that date back over 11,000 years ago in Bandelier National Monument near Santa Fe. I've been able to bring NASA scientists and engineers into my classroom, as well as some family friends who just happened to have a profession that my students needed to hear about. I have had unofficial field trips to the movies to watch the opening night of The Martian and Gravity. I get to be that teacher every day, and it is amazing. I have since decided, though, that all teachers might not need to wear high heels, though. So why do I stay in the classroom? Because it is what I was meant to do. My kindergartner daughter is now grown and married, but what she allowed me to experience the very first day of her school career still stays with me today. I see those parents. I know how they feel. I see those students fill the halls, and I want to be their teacher. What made you decide to become a teacher? How does your desire to be in the profession work to keep you in the classroom each school year? Where can you go to have all of those initial desires remembered and reinvigorated? Chapter 2, Defining Lessons. If I could show you a picture right now, I would show you this one. My student and I are standing next to each other in our science classroom. I'm wearing a purple shirt that I'd received during a professional development with NASA, so the NASA meatball logo is displayed proudly on my left front pocket. My student has a plate of refreshments in his hands and has the biggest smile on his face. Speaking of smiles, mine was pretty big as well. The day was a special day for our class because my student Walter and his classmates were going to share their research of a current NASA mission and then propose a mission to a similar body in space. He had decided the only way to properly do that, especially in Miss Bright's science class, was to wear his blue astronaut jumpsuit. It was epic, it was unexpected, and of course, he got an A. If there is one unit in my classroom that defines me, it is Earth and Space. Robert Goddard said, "It is difficult to say what is impossible, for the dream of yesterday is the hope of today and the reality of tomorrow." It is my job as a science teacher to show students what has come before and to instill in them the belief that what they dream will be reality. It is an amazing undertaking and a rewarding one as you see each student in your class realize this to be the case. My grandmother rode in a horse and buggy, and then later in her life watched American astronauts walk on the surface of the moon. Who is to say what is impossible? One of my favorite opportunities is for my students to participate in the Discovery Program. This has been an opportunity NASA has given to students and educators across the United States for several years. NASA provides a website students can easily navigate as they conduct their research. Each year, I tweak the program and add different activities to truly engage my students and the diverse needs of each group of students. In this lesson, students' choice is forefront. Students choose a current NASA mission, research that mission, and then design and build a mission to a similar body in space. When students have completed their projects, they must present their projects to the taxpayers, which include their parents. We bring snacks, we wear our Sunday best, and we dream. These are quotes from my students. My mission, known as Seeker, is not a spacecraft meant to orbit Mercury. It is a rover, and its mission is to land on Mercury, making it the first rover on Mercury's surface. In this essay, I will explain Deep Impact, a current NASA mission, and introduce Explorer PV, my mission to a comet. Unlike the Kepler Space Telescope, who only searches for exoplanets in the Milky Way galaxy, Exo Explorer searches for exoplanets in a different galaxy. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you support Velocity. I had a professor in college who asked us to imagine we did not know what a lemon was. She then described a lemon to us. It is yellow, it has a sour taste, it is round. But at that point, we really didn't know what a lemon was. She then showed us a picture. Again, we had a better idea as to what a lemon was, but we still did not know. Next, she showed us a plastic lemon. It looked very much like a real lemon, but it was not. It was not until our professor pulled out a real lemon and let us taste it, let us touch it, that we could fully appreciate and understand what it tasted like, what it felt like, what it looked like, what it truly was. Sometimes as teachers, we think we can teach what a lemon is through our words alone. It is my desire, however, to spend each day sharing real lemons with my students. This is the way a teacher can truly make a difference and have students grasp the concepts being taught. My Earth and Space unit puts real lemons, the grand spacecraft kind, in the hands of each of my students. When we are passionate about what we are teaching, we create not only defining lessons, but defining moments. We add to their blank slate. This is what they will remember. This is why I teach. What lesson defines you as a teacher? What lesson are you passionate about teaching each year? How does sharing this knowledge to students make you feel? What defining moments have you created within your classroom? Chapter 3. It takes a village. Emerson said, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm." So whether it is writing our opinions about nuclear energy to share with the president or launching rockets behind the school, I try every day to bring the enthusiasm about a subject I truly love. I was beaming about science during one of our PLC, professional learning communities, meetings, when I brought up the idea of teaching science and only science for one day. The idea was taken by our instructional coach to our principal, and together we were going to make it happen. My role was to head up our Science Palooza, is what we called it, which would be a day to celebrate our science fair participants and winners, and a chance for students at our school to spend one of our early release days learning only science. I collaborated with our science fair committee and our math and science instructional coach to make sure this day would be extra special. I called in favors with my favorite NASA scientist, Dr. Tez Caswell, who agreed to speak to our whole student body. I planned two different activities that would engage students. I made lesson plans that were easy to follow, instructional videos to accompany each lesson, showed teachers benefiting TEKS, which are our Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, that would be covered, and obtained, with the help of some of my fellow science teachers, all the supplies on-site and virtual students would need. I made it easy for non-science teachers to feel comfortable teaching science concepts. The first assignment, balloon rockets, challenged students to go to Mars. They had a cup, straw, tape, and a goal to reach the Martian surface. The cheers as they succeeded and the jeers when they knew they needed to redesign were heard throughout the hallway of the school. It was amazing. The Golden Record assignment was inspired by the Golden Record attached to the Voyager spacecraft that launched in the 1970s. Voyager's mission was to explore the 4 outer planets and then head out of our solar system where it is at today. One day, if intelligent life finds our spacecraft, they will also find the Golden Record. Students had the opportunity to write down what they would want other intelligent life to know about their home. This included their mom's good cooking, the beautiful Colorado River, and the very best friend they can't imagine life without. Students were then shown what Carl Sagan and his committee in the 1970s put on the Golden Record. We ended the day by discussing the photograph of planet Earth, taken on February the 14th, 1990, by the Voyager 1 space probe. The probe was about 6 billion kilometers away, at the outer limits of our solar system. We listened to Carl Sagan discuss the picture of the pale blue dot. Look again at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you know, everyone you have ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known. What a day. We reached them, we engaged them, and we got them excited to learn. It was amazing. The feeling that day as I left the school building was overwhelming. We had put so much effort into the school day, and to see that work rewarded in such a way, that's why I teach. This contributed to the improvement of our overall school culture because enthusiasm is contagious, and when science teachers get to share their enthusiasm, reading teachers follow, math, etc. Our Reading Palooza was held in March, and Math Palooza was held in April. We make a difference when we express our enthusiasm and watch that enthusiasm pass on to our students and school community. How do you add to your school culture each year? How do you pass your enthusiasm to colleagues and students? When did a colleague's enthusiasm help motivate you to help improve the learning experience for the students in your school? Chapter 4, Transcending the Classroom. One of the most meaningful teaching days occurred when I was a health teacher in Alaska. After completing a unit on the dangers of alcohol and drugs, I had one student raise his hand. I called on him, and he began to change my life, as well as his peers. He was a special education student with severe learning disabilities. Often his sentences and explanations were wordy and tended to go off subject, but on this day it was different. He began by explaining that he was the way he was because his mother decided to drink and do drugs while she was pregnant with him. He explained how he would go into his closet at night and pray that his mom and dad would choose him over the drugs. He warned his peers that they should never in any shape or form try drugs or drink alcohol. He begged his peers to not make the same mistakes his parents had made. As he continued to speak, I was moved by his presence, his transparency, his courage. Yet at the same time, my anxiety grew because I was unsure how his fellow students might react. When he was finished with his story and his admonitions, the whole class erupted in applause. His face turned red with pride as a genuine smile spread across his face. The acceptance and acknowledgement from his fellow classmates was surreal. So, how does education transcend the classroom? It transcends the classroom when you make connections to their lives and the lives of those around them. It transcends the classroom when students gain enthusiasm that is contagious. It transcends the classroom when you can in turn allow the students to be the ones who teach. That year, health students and the National Junior Honor Society, which I sponsored, helped to promote Rock the Resilience. Rock the Resilience was an event organized to bring hope and awareness to abuse in all forms throughout our community. Many high schools and middle schools in our district had their bands and choirs perform at the event. Our National Junior Honor Society performed in a flash mob in our cafeteria during lunch to help encourage their peers to attend. We made the local news for our efforts and brought more awareness to Aaron's Law and Bree's Law. These laws are named in honor of Aaron Marin, who is a champion of child abuse prevention, and Bree Moore, who lost her life to dating violence. My principal, my National Junior Honor Society students, and myself received the Resilient Resonator Award that night. It meant everything, but it should have gone to the young man sitting in my class that day that had unimaginable courage to share his story of resilience with us. Sometimes, just by being in the profession, you get to take part in moments that transcend the four walls of your classroom or the lessons you plan. That is why I teach. What transcending moments have you witnessed in your career? When has a student shared perspectives and knowledge that you can never replicate as a teacher? Are you a resilient resonator?